Hello, the Arima North Secondary School Library is reading an excerpt from the Book of the Month by Crick, Chapter 5. I looked forward to school. I looked forward to the day when I could pass my hand swiftly from side to side on a blank piece of paper, leaving meaningful marks in its wake, to staring nonchalantly into a book until I turned over the page, a gesture pregnant with importance, for it indicated that one had not merely been staring, but that most historic of processes had been taking place, whereby the paper had yielded up something or other as a result of having been stared at. At the next reopening, Tanti took me to school. So early in the morning it was still a little dark. But when we got to the school, there was already a restless army of women outside the closed gate, with children squashed among them, children beginning to send up a peevish protest. The women seemed to be directing a great deal of temper to an unconcerned man sitting on a box inside the schoolyard reading a newspaper. Never once did he throw a glance in our direction. For all the abuse and gesticulation of the women, he sat immobile, and every time he made the slightest movement, the crowd surged forward irresistibly, arriving no further than crushing each other's feet and grinding tempers thinner. After an age, with the sun's heat and the crowd growing, a voice called to the watchman from inside the building. He nodded, folded up his newspaper with exaggerated thoroughness, laid it aside, and set out towards the gate at a resentful pace. At the gate, he faced the women and delivered a brief, sullen speech. "Mind all you come in this gate. If all you push, I'm closing it back." "Mr. Oliver, shut your face and open the gate," was one of the replies he received. We charged. Or the women charged, and we children tumbled in among them. We were making for a door. Suddenly, there was no further progress to be made. We were being flattened into each other's backs, and standing on the same spot, for those at the very front had filled up the office, and the greater part of the throng was still outside. So we stood for another age, with people minus their charges squeezing their way back out through the tightly pressed company, who were not altogether inclined to assist them by giving way. As more and more people left, we were edging closer and closer to the door, until the rumor made its way out to us that there was no more room in ABC class. Immediately, people with older children began to struggle forward, to the irritation of those with ABC candidates, who remarked loudly at their lack of manners in pushing and jostling. When that movement was complete, there still remained a sizable crowd of people who apparently had no intentions of giving ground. The watchman appeared from nowhere, ostensibly transporting a bucket of something from one point to another, but looking as though this were a moment he had waited for with keen relish. As he slouched past us, he muttered, "Why all you don't go home? You can't understand or what? No room is no room," and was instructed by a pugnacious voice to go and scratch his derriere. Then Mr. Thomas made his way with difficulty through the crowd, adamantly installed inside his office, and who seemed to think he was attempting escape. He stood in our midst, closely hemmed in, and pleaded with us distraughtly to go away. When nobody budged, he rubbed his temples and threw up his hands in frustration. "Look, what all you want me to do? Put all the children to sit down on one another head? I tell you, it ain't have no more room in ABC. Try the RC school. Put them by Miss Hines. Send them up Koreaka school. I don't care what all you do. Just carry them away and you could bring them back when they pass ABC." When a few people at the edge of the crowd began to move off, rather precipitately, we needed no further persuasion. With one accord, we surged out of the schoolyard, and soon we were but hair breadths of civilization away from pushing each other over and running over the fallen. It was nevertheless a race, if a slightly shamefaced race, down the road and across the savannah to the RC school. Many of Tanti's cronies were in the hustling company. None acknowledged the other. Stay tuned and follow Tanti and T in the adventures of Crick Monkey.